So, promised a little bit about the general strikes. I didn't know if I would get out of here if I didn't bring up the general strike. So we have a lot of leaders here. What do you think? General strike, legal or illegal? Private sector.
Legal.
Other thoughts?
It's gray area. It has they outlaw solidarity strikes, but technically you have the right to strike. So when I was reading the Taft-Hartley law, I was like really confused.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't outlaw solidarity strikes.
God, I love this crowd. This crowd is amazing. So many. This kills me. I must have a little pet peeve. You know, in the Occupy world, including within the Occupy world, and definitely in the more traditional union, again and again. General strikes are illegal. General strikes are illegal. I think the brother and sister here are both very much on point. Okay, first of all, who the hell cares if a general strike is legal or illegal, right? If you could really muster a real general strike, are you going to worry about that? Society is ground to a halt, you got the corporations on the run, you're going to worry about their court system at that point. But of course, it is important to understand, as our friends at Local 100 came to understand, what the sort of legal framework is. If you do it right, a general strike is not contrary to law, and even more so, is actually protected by law, right? So this is Occupy. We got to figure out how can we do this. Number one, when you participate in a general strike, you have, and this is going to speak exactly to the little confusion that you had, and we'll clear that up. You have to make the strike about your conditions at work, right? Is that really that hard? Can you not think of one thing to strike over if you want to participate in a general strike? And that addresses the issue that the sister talked about, and that is Taft-Hartley. Taft-Hartley is exaggerated by some of the labor lawyers that may have inhibited some of the things that you and your colleagues wanted to do. It's exaggerated. Much lawful pressure remains, secondary pressure against other targets but your employer, even after Taft-Hartley. But one thing Taft-Hartley does, which to me is the most despicable part of that particular law, is it does limit the right of unions, not workers by the way, unions, to strike in solidarity with an objective that has to do with another employer. It doesn't speak to when you have to strike for your own cause, right? Now, I'm sure everyone here has something they can figure out to strike about at their work without having to worry about someone else's workplace. The other thing that you should really keep in mind, and this actually came up in an interesting context after the May Day 2006, which was an incredible outpouring of workers by the millions, which made May Day real again, immigrant workers. The Bush administration's labor board did some legal work around this, some memos from the National Labor Relations Board General Counsel, and what they got those workers on, which was really ridiculous, was the question of, oh, well, didn't they just not come to work? Maybe what they participated in was protected, but they just basically no-called, no-showed to work. It was very tortured logic. Don't worry if you don't understand it. I don't think the current general counsel would torture the logic that much. But just in case, right, make it clear to your employer that you're striking your employer. You're not just not showing up to work to go participate in something which may be protected if you didn't just not show up to work to do it. You're striking your employer. So that's hopefully clears up, and now next time you hear someone on different television and progressive stuff out there from Occupy or elsewhere saying general strikes are illegal, you're going to say, no, not if you do it right. You know what they really mean though, those folks? They're saying that it's the no strike clause that's getting in the way. They don't want to say that though. It's just better to say the general strike is illegal. But it's really the no strike clause that's keeping the unions from getting into that. It makes sense, right? You have tens of millions of dollars in your treasury, and your career is associated with this institution. You're not going to jeopardize that. So if you want to get to the bottom of it, it's not the law, federal law, that's inhibiting us, and not even so much the no strike clauses. If you have to pick one thing that's inhibiting us from carrying out this general strike we all believe in, it's the lack of organization of our class, right? Most workers are unorganized. they're victims of exploitation every day, and they might fight in their own noble and dignified ways as individuals or in small groups to deal with it and lose when they fight that way. But the bottom line is that most workers are not organized. Let me just be clear, they're not in organizations. I don't know if that maybe is controversial to some people. Organizations, brothers and sisters, are extremely powerful. Our corporate adversaries are organized within organizations, and I think it's very important maybe to look at, going back to the IWW, their 3 lodestar foundation, which is education, organization, and emancipation. I think we do well to return to those principles. So just to conclude, I want to say that the energy of Occupy, its ability to connect diverse constituencies, workers, students, veterans, and retirees, and so forth, against this common corporate enemy, it has very dramatic potential for our workers' movement. Occupy can help play a critical role in fostering increased organization amongst the working class and allow workers within and across industries to work together horizontally. Can you imagine that General Assembly, where the nurses of New York send their delegate and the transit workers of New York send their delegate, horizontal, worker to worker, the food workers, the domestic workers? Can you imagine in your mind's eye that General Assembly? I think we can imagine that, and I think we can achieve it. By embracing rank and file organizing based on direct action and solidarity, and keeping the law out of the way, not pretending that it's a tool for social change that's positive, I do believe that our class will bring democracy into the world of work and enjoy the full product of our labor. Thank you so much.